Hello, welcome to Follow Everton. We're here to talk about Everton's 1-1 draw against Manchester City. I'm going to bring in two of the best pundits you'll find this side of Merseyside. It is Jeff. I meant to say this side of, I don't know, I was thinking of a good analogy, but I'm just happy. We've actually got a point away from home. The beaming faces on you say it all. I said yesterday it would be a draw. Jeff, you said 4-0. Dan, you weren't able to make the stream, but in our heart of hearts, no one really anticipated we'd get today.
Excuse me. Who in our WhatsApp group said we're going to draw 1-1? Who?
Did you say that?
I put a bet on us to come back and frigging draw 1-1. I said just hold out and get a goal back. I put it in the WhatsApp group.
I didn't check.
Right.
Sorry, my stream was 8 minutes behind, so I didn't want to.
Have a read. I put it in the WhatsApp group. I only put £3 on it. I only put £3 on, so I didn't win big. But I put a bet on us to come back. I had a feeling.
Yeah. What were the odds?
It was £3 returned £40, so it was.
I'm surprised you don't get more than that. I think the bookies must have thought it was going to be a field day at one point. Got Basil waiting to come in a moment. Good evening if you're joining us. Just a few shout outs to people straight away in the comments. Jeterix, Trevor, John, David, Kevin, Stu, Christopher, Eugene, Andrew, Jason, Kevin. Thanks for the stream. I've got a feeling this will be a good one. I'm here till 6 o'clock. And then if there's anyone still talking about Everton, I'm sure you'll have their wonderful company. Let's bring in Basil. He said he's got a short few moments. Hi, Basil.
Hello.
We were on the 20 minutes behind. We were all on a stream that was a bit far behind. Did you have
My
a better
stream was sometimes like 6 minutes behind, which was frustrating. At that injury time, I basically watched every 10 seconds, and then it would like skip a minute, and I would just pray the scoreline still said 1-1, heart in mouth, but it probably saved me watching every pass from City probing their way forward. So, look, we got the victory. I'm wondering what Jeff's thinking now, based off what he was saying.
I know. I was just going to say. Jeff said to me at halftime, if it's less than 4-0, Jeff said to me. Let me just say, Jeff said this to me at halftime. If it's less than 4-0, it's a miracle. And I was thinking, no, they've only had one shot on target and hit the post, so we're not doing too bad. I mean, everyone on my
just don't expect, but you don't expect City to like after a bad half where they didn't play very well
because of us.
Like realistically, I mean, let's be honest. Delusions aside, nobody for this game. Like people might go optimistic or cross fingers. But at our time, 1-0, nobody's thinking we're coming back from that. Most people are thinking, with their bench, they're going to come on and probably put 2 or 3 past us or another. So, yeah. Will the real Everton please stand up? What the hell?
You know what?
Everton doesn't make sense.
It was a performance that sort of epitomised what I was saying yesterday.
Sorry?
Our players are very defensively, aggressively minded players, and I think you put 11 yard dogs and tell them to protect the goal and press and harry and don't let things get in. I mean, they limited City to not many clear chances, only 2 in the first half and a couple in the second. I mean, that second half was so broken up, which really worked in our favour. If anything, the little stoppage for the technical equipment was just come at a time when we were under the ropes and they were pushing for the second goal.
Thought we were back in the World Cup, getting 11 minutes of added time.
Do you know what though? Let me just hit you. This is quite long, but not long. When Haaland went up to Ben Godfrey in his face when he scored, I was absolutely fuming. And this is why I wanted to come back and get the draw, because they was pissing me off. And then all of a sudden, Grealish did this smug face to Patterson because Patterson was on a yellow card, and Grealish was proper. I normally like Grealish, but he was being an idiot to Patterson, and they was proper. They was being like cocky and everything to our players. And I thought, you know what, Everton, just get the draw, and it will frustrate them so much because they was dirty and everything. And I thought, just get the draw. And when we got that goal, their faces when we got that goal.
Yeah.
It was so good.
And how they ended up with 11 men on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. We deserved it. They was dirty. Haaland was dirty. He should have been off with in the face as well.
Yeah.
And by the way, you lot are saying we was looking to get a draw
off for a dodgy tackle.
We could have actually won it. If that Onana pass was a bit more left when we had the flood down the left, we could have won it. We had 2 or 3 counter-attack chances where we could have won it. And watch the chances back, Ryan. Normally you say, we should have scored that. That was some good chances at the end of the game. When you 1-1 to win the game, it was some good chances.
We didn't really have, they weren't really chances. They were more like opportunities to try and counter. There's a few things here that we can talk about. First and foremost, I don't want to sink down to the reality of the situation we're in, but it's a massive point. Wolves lost and we get the point. And it was an unexpected point for some who'd completely wrote the game off. But, I had a feeling, yesterday I said 0-0, but the reason I was thinking that is because you look at Boxing Day and you look at the New Year's Eve and you look at these sorts of games and you do get surprises. You do get off days. And I think Man City didn't play at their best, but I'm going to give a lot of credit to Everton today. As David said, hounding them. The first half was quite passive, but generally we didn't allow them to do what they wanted to do. We allowed them to... We surrendered possession to the wings. And what they kind of waited for us to do was Iwobi would come out of position and press Nathan Ake. And then they'd play around Iwobi and Patterson would often have 1 or 2 to deal with. And then they'd switch it to the opposite flank once we'd been dragged across. There was a clear plan in place from Man City to do that, to shift it. But our plan was really to block off the entire centre of the pitch with the 5-3-2 formation, make it very difficult for them to play around it, through it, and allow them to have the possession out wide. And really, it didn't lead to anything for them. And partly down to the fact we were so organised and alert, but also because, it was difficult because Man City's opportunities were in difficult positions for them. The goal, though, Man City score, if you look back, it's a bit disappointing, really. It's the same sort of pattern, David, that I speak about there, where Alex presses Ake, they play around him, it's shifted across.
One person.
It's a very good piece of skill from... It's a very good piece of skill. There's a very good piece of skill from... I've forgotten now because you interrupted me. And it's Connor Cody, really, for me, that pissed me off, because if he stays in his position with Haaland, he can boot that away like he did all in that second half. But instead, he's on the goal line. What do you make of that? Really?
Where's the rest of the players? Why can't they be chasing down Haaland?
Well, he was the one marking Haaland in that moment, and he leaves him to go and stand on the goal line.
It's almost like Michaelenko didn't know who Mahrez was. I mean, it took him half the game to work out that he was going to shift it onto his left foot and cut inside. If he'd watched him before, he would have known what he would do to something like that.
But he came back again. He went in and then came back out.
He's a tricky customer, isn't he? But I think it all starts with us getting out of shape, and they, Iwobi gets caught up, and then we're a man short in their attack in that transition. I don't know whether it was a foul on Iwobi. I haven't seen it that well, but I know he was claiming it. But it's all an imbalance. But I want to see Haaland being marked in a box.
Some allowance for the fact.
I think you hit that. For me, when I'm speaking about the goal, Basil, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think the centre midfielders with Garner Gay and Onana, one of them needs to stay in the centre. They both got pulled over, and then the ball moved to the middle, and it opened it up in the centre, and we looked exposed. You could tell it was going to happen.
Yeah. Well, Iwobi's on his arse, isn't he? Iwobi goes out.
Well, the changes system. Sorry, I was just going to say the changes system. It clearly took us a little while to get used to it, and the fact that Cody was coming in for his first game since before the World Cup, because he didn't actually play at the World Cup, and he hasn't played since the World Cup because of his ban. So, because he was not allowed to play in the Wolves game, it was clearly we hadn't played 5 at the back for a while. Certain other players hadn't played a game for a while. Godfrey had come in, and he's obviously not played anything because of his injury. So there was bound to be little teething problems and the odd mistake kind of thing. But overall, I think we grew into the game and we figured stuff out. And I think that we can nitpick and pick holes in like an odd little mistake here and there. But I think generally overall we defended well, which
yeah.
I was just. Someone just said in the comments, one of our regulars, he said, and that's a good point on what you said, Ryan. What was Cody doing? Fact is, it was just bad luck. If Pickford didn't get his hands to it, Cody cleared it off the line. Pickford moved it away from Cody. And sometimes when the player, if Cody cleared that off the line and Pickford didn't get his hands to it, you'd be saying, "Oh, what a clearance by Cody! He saved her ass there." That's the difference. Sometimes it's just luck.
Why? Two questions there, then. Back at you, Dan, because I didn't watch the goal back. I saw it in the live mode, and I just saw the replay. It was just that if Cody holds his position, he can stay with Haaland. He can take proactive defensive action rather than being reactive and going on the goal line to try and block the shot. I felt he would have had better, trying to stop the actual thing. But should Pickford save it, Dan?
It's just one of them. Because Pickford's good, he gets to it. But when he gets to it, he pushes it away from Cody, who would have cleared it off the line. Pickford got his hands to it, and then Pickford getting his hands to it moved it away from going down the middle. And by Pickford getting his hands to it, he puts it in the corner, and then Cody can't clear it, where it was going straight direct to Cody and would have cleared. It's just bad luck. Sometimes when the quality that Man City have, sometimes they'll just score. They will. And the reaction for me, I mean, the goal happened, fair enough. Like Jeff said, nitpick it, whatever. But when the goal happened, what have you got? What can you do now what's your reaction when that goal happened? Now, we could have crumbled. But
how do you react?
We went to work then. We went to work. We stuck in. And Man City can batter a team once they get that. Once they open you up and they find the gap, they can destroy you. But no, we closed the gap and we just went back to work and said, keep it 1-0. Yeah. Let's just keep it 1-0 and get back to work. Because fact is, as I said on a space last night, you've just got to stay in these games because you don't know what's going to happen. And I want to just say this quick. That Demarai Gray goal made the hair stand up on the back of my neck, mate. That is one of the best goals. Oh, mate, that was one of the best goals I've ever felt. The Arsenal one was good.
Yeah, we'll get to that, though. We're going to do the...
Yeah, no, I'm not moving to it like that, but you can't mention it. You can't not mention it, sorry.
We are going to mention it.
I think you're right there that just after we scored, Man City did what any good team does, and they smelt blood, and they come to try and score, and you could see the crowd on the backs, and I think we did really well to handle that moment of pressure and see it through to halftime without going down. Because the last thing, if you go to 2-0, you pretty much got no chance of getting back in the game.
Well, just to give some structure to this, because there's four of us, you talked about the goal that we conceded. Obviously, Man City didn't create an awful lot of chances, did they, Jeff? But just that one chance. And they were a bit off colour, but they did have that chance at the end of the first half. Dan said earlier that, a lot of teams crumble. But Everton just kept with the same game plan, didn't they? They stayed in the same shape. They knew they would wait for a Man City mistake, which did come, which we'll talk about. And as we spoke about in the preview yesterday, it was about waiting for Man City to commit and make the mistake and punishing them. And that didn't actually happen in the first half, unfortunately. We didn't have a single shot on target. But we'd also limited Man City. Although John Stones should have scored. He was very close, wasn't he, with that header. We were too busy tussling with Haaland and their players to actually get in the right position. And would you say we were lucky then to get in at 1-0 with that, or do you think it was a fair assessment of the first half?
I think it's one of those situations where if you're playing the sort of de facto best team in the world, the squad that they've got is ridiculous. They can anywhere, and they've got players in almost every position that can do something special. Like it's like trying to bail out a flooding boat. You're just trying to keep the water, like keep emptying it as fast as it's sinking, and that's really hard because you're coming under pressure all the time, and you're running around putting out fires. you're doing everything you can. There's bound to be opportunities and little things that come in there, but you know, you could almost say that we deserved a bit of luck that we got, that they didn't finish one or two chances. They hit the post as well, but maybe we deserved that little bit of luck based on the fact of how hard we worked, because that's a fundamental thing. If you look at the performance against against Wolverhampton and you compare that to the result today, the work rate was a difficult. This was a team. Like, I had a big rant on the stream, which everyone will have seen by now, where I said, like, this doesn't look like a team that wants to fight and wants to survive and doesn't have the stones for the scrap. And then today, well, no, it's got to be good and consistent, because I want to see the same level of performance against Brighton and against Southampton in the games that really, really matter, because two wins in those games and things go well. But yeah, this is a team. The performance today, you've just got to give credit that this team scrapped their asses off.
I was just going to say,
lucky break. They got the goal and got what they deserved from the match, because I don't think City deserved to win that game, because they weren't amazing today. They were off the game, and we have to sort of take a bit of credit for that. For putting them off the game.
Trying to stick to the first.
I was just going to say, Ryan, on the first half, you can't really say that we was lucky when they had 2 shots on target. We was lucky to get 1-0 in first half. They had 2 shots on target. We made them only have 2 shots on target. So if you look, if they had 2 shots and scored 2 goals, you'd be saying they were lucky. So,
why is that fight not there though against Wolves though, Basil? Why? You could say we were a bit passive maybe in the first half against Man City, but we were organised. That's probably how I'd say it. We were organised, but still you felt like we were more in control of what we were allowing Man City to do. Whereas against Wolves, perhaps it was a little bit different. I mean, what was your thoughts?
It's the first game back against Wolves from after a long break, and maybe that's the only excuse I can legitimately give them for that game. But I don't want to see that against Brighton or Southampton. If that comes back again, there's just no excuse, because that just means they pick and choose when they want to run. And I think especially it's a mental thing against Man City that, if you don't run, if you don't close them down, if you don't track space, you will concede goal after goal. So they've got no choice in the matter. Whereas against Brighton or whatever, they know they could probably be a bit more lax. This is the difficulty they have.
Dan, was it a bit
difficult?
I was just gonna say on what you just said, Basil. You bang on. The reason that we was up for this more today is because it was a harder game, and if you're not, you're gonna get battered. And that Wolves game, we was in control of that 50-50. And when you're in control of a game, you're relaxed because it's easier. You're in control. And our players, when we have to take it to a team, we struggle because we don't stay switched on. Where that game today, we had to be on it 110%. And every player, there was players like first half, Onana, some of the tackles they got in stopped goals. Some of the tackles Garner Gay got in stopped goals. Some of the crosses that we stopped Tim Patterson from getting in and Mikalenko stopped goals. So it wasn't like the result would have been that if we didn't earn that. Those players that first half earned that.
We also, I mean, it's very good, but we didn't allow them the space to actually play in. We talked about in the preview yesterday, David. We talked about how it was all about stopping Man City, having that space in behind, having that space in front of you actually to take those pot shots off around the box. What we did was actually allow them to have the possession, but only in certain areas, which is against our fullbacks, who, let's be honest, I thought Patterson was okay, but got substituted because he was at risk of a red. And Mikalenko was all right as well, but it was difficult because Man City have got really good wide players, haven't they?
Yeah, they had the difficult job of coming up against 1 or 2 City players and having to hold them up while Iwobi or Gray got back over. I think the formation, as you say, it restricted Haaland's space in behind by playing the 3 centre-backs. And just by having and then packing up the midfield. You know, City like to play that three in the midfield, but they also overload with inverted fullbacks. So by playing Gray as a sort of inverted winger, allowed him to be around the inverted fullback, who was the new kid Lewis. He was cropping up there, so it was to try and mitigate those sorts of threats. And I think that tactically, it was correct from Lampard.
Okay. Very good. Jeff, you've been critical of Lampard, though. The Christmas tree formation we saw today, that's what it is. It's the 5-3-2. Something new, something expected? Did you? Because we were talking about maybe being a 4-4-2 diamond, or more of the Carlo Ancelotti 4-5-3. Well, it was a bit like the away performance at Liverpool, I felt, where you've got Gay coming across and Iwobi coming across, but didn't really feel like we were outnumbered in the midfield the same way that we have been when we played 5 at the back. Were you quite impressed with it?
No, because yes, and that's the one thing I got right in my pre-match rant is that I said we'd play 3 at the back, because it made sense. We had to play deeper. We had to get one-on-one if we could with their attacking wingers and close that space down, because you're a team that can be through you, but only if you give them time and space. And if we'd have played a 4 today, they'd have probably got instead of getting caught by sort of Tarkowski and Gordon matching up with our respective fullback on either side, so they're getting doubled up. They'd have been getting in between the line, sort of, so they would have got in behind Tarkowski or in behind Patterson. You know, playing sort of 1-2s and getting in behind and then whipping the ball in back towards us. They weren't allowed to do that today, so the number of crosses they got on was really low, and they were often playing sort of very much like us the other day, side to side, side to side, side to side. They were looking for space.
That's all they could do.
There. And I think that's it really threw their hands apart, because that's how they play, and they didn't like it that we basically matched them up in a sort of way and just blocked every channel. And he left them with no room, nowhere to go, and they weren't able to play those little slick passes in between the lines because we overloaded that area of the pitch. So tactically, you've got to give Lampard some credit today.
It's not just that, is it? It's what we do when Everton got the ball, and I think under these circumstances, we did quite well in that first half at actually taking the ball and passing through the lines. I mean, there was 2 or 3 nice moves.
24 minutes for a first attack.
Yes, but
minutes.
I'm just going to give them credit for that, because I think that in previous years we've gone there and every time we've got the ball, we've panicked and it's gone long and it's come back at us.
Did you see the tweet I put out on Twitter?
I don't think I've seen us. I don't think I've seen us actually string more than 5 passes together in a row against City or away at any of these top teams for years. So I'm just giving them a little bit of credit for that.
Did you see the tweet I put out on the official account saying, "Oh, Calvert-Lewin made a really good run in behind, and Onana's got his head up, can play the pass, straight pass. And instead of playing the pass, he checks inside and just plays it simple." You need to have a look at it on the Follow Everton account. And to be honest, that was how I felt the first half was. Leon Osman on commentary was saying, you know, Everton are not showing any ambition when we get the ball. We're not doing anything with it. We had a couple of sporadic moments where we had a bit of possession and it would end up back with a keeper, for example, and we boot it forward. It never really come off for us, but I think we were all satisfied in the fact that City hadn't been steamrolling us.
It's progress. I know it's not a lot, but it's progress. I think you're right. There are moments where you can see Calvert-Lewin running in behind and his pace, but Calvert-Lewin wasn't sharp today. He needs a few matches to get up to speed. Everything bounced off him. But Jeff, go on you.
I was just going to say, I think our only intention for the first half, which didn't worry me because I didn't expect us to have shots on target first half, because our only intention first half was to stay in the game, And And it's a formation we haven't played for ages, Ryan. So you've got to grow with the formation. We're not just going to click straight away with that formation. And I felt as the game went on, you felt like the right Mikolenko and Patterson was getting a bit more help. We was doubling up. You're starting to see the formation double up on the wingers. And everything was getting easier as they was becoming used to the formation. Even the centre midfielders started like cutting stuff out, basically. And you could see us getting better with that formation. And as, I say, we go past the first half into the second half, and you're in this formation, Everton are thinking, we feel like we're not going to let them score. It's going to stay 1-0 here. Let's just take a risk. Then you can take a risk. Then you can have your shot on target.
Well, we did exactly what we talked about in the preview, which was wait for the City mistakes, which were few and far between, but they did exist. Not always did we capitalise on them. Make sure we were very aggressive when Man City had the ball in dangerous areas and closed down quickly around the edge of the box. We did all of those things. What can we do to affect the game when we get it? Well, we had really the one chance. We'll talk about, of course, the goal in a moment, but important also, we fouled when we needed to break up play, and the referees' technical problems also helped with this. The fighting between Haaland and Godfrey and everyone under the sun was brilliant, because actually these sorts of things played into our hands.
Let me just say one thing on to what you're saying. I forgot to say this on the first half. I think we've got to give massive praise to Ben Godfrey, because I think he set the tone. I think the moment he went into Haaland 2 minutes into the game, it made it the sort of game that we wanted. I thought Godfrey had a cracking game, and I think him going into that made it a really dirty and aggressive game and frustrated Man City, and that was a type of game we needed to win to get something.
Well, that's the only way you can get a result against Man City, and that is the aggressive style. Obviously, Haaland could have got sent off really quickly, could have been injured really quickly, down what you talk about there, but we're just talking about the aggressive nature of Everton, and both teams really. De Bruyne put one in on Onana, and there was quite a lot of yellow cards on both sides. But Haaland was lucky to stay on the pitch, wasn't he? He had the horrible slide tackle, the elbow in the face of Conor Cody. There was some other things as well, Dan. Do you think he was lucky to stay on the pitch?
I think the referee today, obviously it's the referee's job to enforce the law to protect the players. And I think the referee today obviously wants the league to be, Man City to be in contention with the frigging league chance, because today, I thought we was lucky a couple of times. Maybe we could have got double yellowed towards the end, but the referee knew that Haaland was angry, because when you're refereeing the game, you know what's going on. So he knows when Haaland scores and he runs up to Ben Godfrey in his face, he knows Haaland's angry. He knows he's angry. And
he ordered sarcastic applause as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he was fuming. Ben Godfrey really got under his skin. Yeah, and Tarkowski really got under his skin. And that tackle, going to that tackle, his only intention was to crunch the player. He didn't even go to tackle. He went to crunch the player because he was frustrated. So it was you could have given it as a red, but the one in the second half where he hit Tarkowski in the face, that was deliberate as well. So I don't see how you can not give a yellow for that.
Refereeing. There's 3 yellow card offences there. Basil, Jeff, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Do you think Haaland should have been sent off? Absolutely. I mean,
I think De Bruyne should have been sent off.
I didn't like the way he went in for that first tackle, because it wasn't just the fact that he didn't catch him studs up, fair enough, but the pace he went into it, and the fact it was in the corner, so he knew he wasn't going to get anything from it. It was a pure moment of aggression.
Yeah, and De Bruyne's as well was unnecessary on his Belgian teammate. But look, these things actually broke the game up, made it harder for Man City to build any rhythm. And really, it was fantastic. And I actually was watching that game, although the streams were fucking shocking, and I was about 8 minutes behind. I felt like we were comfortable, and I will go on to the goal now. But really, before the goal, Man City never really looked like adding to it. I don't think Pickford had to make a save. Conor Cody and Tarkowski and Ben Godfrey in fairness stood up to everything.
Just to go back to last season. Just to go back to last season. Right, we got to a certain point where Lampard came in and he was trying to get us to play a certain way. And it culminated in the 5-0 whipping at Tottenham. And then he realised can't play this kind of style of football. We're not good enough. We haven't got the players to do it. We're going to have to go back to being Everton, a bunch of groks. We're just going to have to muscle and scrap and fight and get little results here and there and do what we can. And I kind of feel like after the Wolverhampton game, like that was another example of us playing too nice, playing, we're trying to play pretty football, but we're not good enough for that. And then today we turn up and we just scrap and we fight and we battle for everything and we turn into a bunch of arseholes. And that looks like Everton. That's what Everton looks like to me. And that's what I want to see going forward. Is I don't want to see nice football. Like, yeah, I'd love us to play like Man City on a regular basis, but we're in 17th and we're in a relegation scrap. And being nice doesn't get you away from trouble. I want to see us fight and niggle and knock and slow games down, because a lot of teams are better at us than football. We're going to play Brighton in the next game. They're a really good football side.
But the fans are not going to...
If we go toe-to-toe with them, they're going to count on us.
The fans are not going to tolerate that at home versus Brighton. But you're right, today, there's a time and a place for that. And we do need a striker, although Calvert-Lewin, it was great to see Dominic Calvert-Lewin get some minutes today, and hopefully he'll be in a good place for Brighton. But we've also recalled Ellis Sims back from Sunderland, and what did appear this morning as an act of desperation. But really, Dan, this is aimed at you. You were pining for Victor Gyökeres at Coventry City. You've also asked for Diaz at Blackburn. But the reality is we had a player in the Championship who is actually our own player, young with a high ceiling. Why spend 15, 60 million on those players when we've got our own Ellis Sims looking okay? I mean, he looks to me like he gets in good positions, but doesn't really have the all-round game yet. But surely economically, it makes more sense, rather than take a punt on those two, to bring Ellis Sims back, hopefully as some competition for DCL, and also finding a proven goal scorer perhaps on loan. Are you happy with Sims?
Well, I think this is like the biggest season that we've ever had. And I think when you're in that situation, you need everything you can have. So I spoke to a Sunderland fan. He said that he's not a big fan of Sims. He said he scores goals, but when he plays up front by himself, it was interesting information, actually, because to hear from a Sunderland fan what they actually thought of him. He said he can score goals, but he needs to play with a striker. He said he's not that good at holding the ball up and he's not the fastest, but if he can score goals if he's with someone. So that was the information that I got. Yeah, I don't think Sims. There's been loads of kickoff today about Sims. Fact is, we've not got a big squad. Teams have got 4 strikers. We've got rid of Rondon. So whether Sims is good enough or not, if you can get him back, you get him back. It doesn't mean that we're not going to go and sign a striker, Ryan. It just means that we're probably going to have 3 strikers with Sims, or probably 4 now, because you've got you need the other lad as well.
Has this result, Basil, given Frank Lampard some time, do you think? I mean, just on that note, I mean, I feel like these are the questions you should ask at the end. So should we come back to them?
I was just going to say Sims has probably been brought back to be thrown on with 15 minutes remaining when we're losing the game, to be paired up with another striker.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
This comment here, have you just put that on the screen, Jeff?
Sorry, I put the other one on. Someone said hard luck with your bet, but I bet on us to draw.
Make sure you come back. We'll come back to some of the comments. Keep them coming in. We'll discuss them towards the end of our kind of initial analysis. Can I ask everyone who's new here? This is Follow Everton. Welcome to the channel. Please make sure you subscribe. Existing people and basically anyone who's watching, please like the video wherever you're watching, whether that's on Facebook or YouTube. It does help the algorithm. We're at 1,520 subscribers now. We're looking for 2,000 subscribers before the end of the season. It's well achievable. If you like the way we do things on here, please hit the subscribe button. Absolutely free, as always. The goal now, Dan, you were so itching to talk about that goal, but it's actually a very nice piece of hold-up play from Demarai Gray. Initially, in the middle of the pitch, I believe, if I'm talking about the right sequence, had no right to retain the ball, goes back, and then the ball, Idrissa Gana Gueye has got a big part to play, who had a really good game.
Big shout out to him. Amazing today.
Read situation so well, but the ball also finally passing forward rather than everything so safe in behind the Man City defence. Demarai Gray running at the defender, but slips at the last minute just before you think he's about to shot. Actually, Mykolenko running beyond Mykolenko actually makes a run beyond Demarai Gray.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
You don't
Mykolenko.
Takes, Jeff is seeking approval for that. Mykolenko would normally hold back. But
took the defender away and left Gray with space.
Left him space, he slips, and then it was a beauty. And you know what the strike was like? It was like a Ronaldo free kick. Just had the perfect dip into that corner. And you know what made me laugh about that? Every Everton player, Calvert-Lewin, they just stood still. They're just like in shock, that we actually had the goal. Did you feel that?
My partner said to me, because she watched it, because I get excited when we're about to score, and she looked and she goes to me, nobody is with Demarai Gray to celebrate because nobody was up. He did it by himself. He did everything by himself. And that, honestly, that was one of the best goals ever. The fact he kept it reminded me of Man United when we got that draw where Demarai Gray did that counter-attack run. But he didn't score the goal, but he set Townsend up. But this time, Demarai Gray did absolutely. Players can make runs like that, but to have that composure to put the ball top corner with that speed is an absolutely. Like the Man City have got all these incredible players. They probably thought to themselves, "Oh my God, what a goal!" Like they would have dreamed to score a goal like that themselves. The Man City players.
He had a point to prove, Demarai Gray, and that strike was itch perfect.
This is Demarai Gray.
But this is what Demarai Gray does, though. He's got excellent ability, but he'll only do that.
Yeah,
do that every 10 games. He'll go missing.
Why can't he do that on a more consistent basis? Yeah.
Maybe because he doesn't have a full back.
It's so frustrating because you can see this. Yeah, possibly. And maybe because he doesn't have like a proper forward joining up as well, so that making run back to create space and stuff like that. I don't know, but it's taking players away and just giving him that little bit of room. But he's clearly got that in him because it's not the first time he's done it.
He's been one of our main. He's been one of our main goal scorers
from him.
Basil, what do you think of the goal?
Because when he does that, I look back at the sort of last 2 years.
I think he's breaking up into Jeff. Says it's
Jeff,
not
your
giving him his feedback as ours.
Top that off. I know you've had the eating off, but you should really keep the Wi-Fi on.
The signal's going on and off with ours, isn't it? I don't know if it's crackling and then you come in after.
Is it?
Let's move on to David just for a second. Just talk about the goal, David. Your thoughts on the goal? You're smiling like a Cheshire cat. What did you think of the goal?
Mavsy spoiled the goal by putting in a message in the group chat.
Oh, I muted it.
I muted it
during the match for that.
There was no surprise there, but it was still a bit of a shock that he was scoring in that way. But I suppose that's the only way we were going to score. Apart from set piece, it's going to have to be a moment of something good, and it was probably going to come from him, because you couldn't see it coming from anyone else. But it was just a wonderful strike, yeah.
You know what? Just on the note of Demarai Gray, he looked like he was anonymous for 65 minutes, but he was on the pitch because he was probably the only player who could beat a player and have that moment of magic out of nowhere. There was nothing coming from anyone else, really. Perhaps Calvert-Lewin might have got on the end of something, but there was no crossing. No. Can I just ask you, though, Anthony Gordon wasn't fit, David, and you think if Anthony Gordon had been fit, would that change the whole thing for the better or for the worse? Because, again, he could have been anonymous for the whole match, but on the counter-attack when City overcommitted, he's the ideal player there to try and create something, to try and expose the pace and the space behind.
Yeah, it's no good hypothesizing about it because it's over, but I suppose Gordon would have been a similar type of option to Gray, wouldn't he? I think it would have been one or the other. So he might have taken him off before he scored and put Gordon on for fresh legs. We don't know. But the positive thing is that Gordon hopefully will be back and he'll be fresh. And there's no excuses.
Do you know what, though? I will jump in on that because I'll always say, I thought Gray had a good game. I thought he sometimes slacks off and he always looked like he had energy. He always looked like he was the player that could be the guy that makes a score because he ran his socks off and he trapped back today a lot. And he doesn't normally trap back.
Defensively as well.
Yeah, he was everywhere. Yeah. I was really, really impressed with Demarai Gray today. He's obviously had the bollock in. You could tell they've all had the bollocking, but they've had the bollocking before. But this time it seemed to have kicked in.
They were very motivated, and Demarai Gray has had his fitness problems, but he definitely looked like he put the work rate in.
Yeah,
as David also just said in the private chat, Idrissa Gay man-marked De Bruyne, tracked him into that area where David talked about in the match preview. De Bruyne drifts out wide into the right-hand side quadrant, really to deliver the balls in, but Gay followed him all the way. He didn't have many opportunities to do that. But also things that did go into the box, apart from the goal, Connor Cody and James Tarkowski, and to be fair, Ben Godfrey, who's not renowned for his heading as a centre-back, was on the end of them. And Haaland was frustrated because Everton really snuffed them out. And it didn't matter really in those last 20 minutes, even though there was a huge stoppage because of the assistant referee, a technical problem. It was really annoying.
Don't talk about that stoppage timer.
It didn't matter what substitutions Man City made or what Everton made. We still looked like we could hold on. Man City kept probing side to side. We defended everything that came at us. We didn't really have another opportunity to attack, but the odd opportunities we did have, the pass wasn't quite executed well. But perhaps if we'd have played on a little bit longer and maybe had one more option with pace off the bench, we could have maybe even nicked a winner. But certainly so. You didn't feel like Man City were going to get that goal, but very late on, Seamus Coleman, Doucouré, and Tom Davis were the substitutes for Everton, up against Phil Foden with fresh legs, and didn't really allow him the chance, apart from one small opportunity which Coleman stopped very late on in the game.
Coleman made an excellent tackle.
The stream was a bit garbage though.
Our chances was good though, Ryan.
The last 10 minutes.
Our chances
just
that
say
we
goodbye
had.
To David, by the way. Hang on, Dan. Hold that.
Go on, go for it. Is it
going?
going?
Say goodbye to David. Any final thoughts, David, before you leave us?
No, I'm just very pleased. I mean, the only thing is it's difficult to take a point when you think about how we lost the point so easily the other day and how hard it was to fight for that point. But I'm really pleased that we've come away with something. It's no easy feat to do that against the champions.
Thanks, David. Happy New Year, and make sure you follow.
Happy New Year to you,
Our fans get to celebrate New Year.
Have a good evening. Yeah,
go on.
Positive.
Happy New Year, mate.
Give him a follow on Twitter at Allerton Blue, as always. Righty, let's change the layout. I think we're going to be here potentially for a little bit longer. I also have to work tonight at 7 o'clock, so I'll be on for another 20 minutes. Then I'm going to be logging off. Not good quality tonight, Jeff.
Can you actually hear me now?
We can hear you all the time, but it's glitching when we hear you. It kind of crackly and broken up.
The internet is full.
I'd turn your computer on and off, to be honest. That tends to... We'll be all right for a minute. That tends to resolve things.
How about now?
We can hear you fine, yeah.
Can you hear me all right?
Are you using the proper camera?
Yeah.
Because Dan's got the same camera as you, and his looks crystal clear, and you look like I'm looking at you through a binoculars. Have you gone into settings and selected the StreamYard cam? Dan, just while Jeff sorts that, it's the StreamYard cam you need to select. Just while Dan sorts that, Jeff sorts that. Dan, did you see the last 15 minutes? Because my stream was breaking on and off, and I had to keep count. Every time it come on, I was just praying and hoping it would be 1-1, which it was. Could you talk us through it if you saw it? And was it?
We'll carry on a little bit with the second half, because I just want to shout out a few things, and I want to pull a few moments out for people on the channel. There was a moment where Onana made a mistake, and I thought, you idiot, and he lost the ball, but he got back and he put a cracking tackle in to save his own ass. And last game against Wolves, they made a mistake. They wasn't hungry to get back and help and save themselves. Onana got back and he saved himself. There was a lot of that today. I was buzzing with that they put the grit in. Garner Gay, as you just mentioned, he was. Do you know when you're against a big team like Man City, you need someone that's not scared? He was that person. He did one where he had the ball under pressure, but he's like, I'm not scared against these. He cut in and moved it over to the right, and then we went down the right-hand side, and I thought, yes, well done. That's what you need, that bit of He showed his experience today, and he didn't lose the ball. He slowly, because he wasn't bad against Wolves, by the way. Gay wasn't. I said he wasn't. You said he was, but
he's getting a bit better.
I think he's getting a bit better. He's not losing the ball, and the reason he probably is getting better is because Onana's in that number 6 now, and he's pushing up, and he's in the places where he can turn the ball over. It's still crackling, Jeff. I don't know why it's crackling. It was crackling on the space the other night when we was on the space. I don't know why it's crackling. We'll get onto it and find out straight away. It's just like when you speak, it's just like glitching and echoing. We'll sort it out.
Jeff, I don't know. The headset was fine, but it's your camera. I don't know whether what camera you're using. Well,
it was crackling on the space. I think it might be either his headphones or his speaker. We'll sort it definitely.
Well, comment here taking Garner off as criminal. I don't necessarily know. Yeah. I think he looked a bit shattered. I think he tried to join in with a counter attack and looked exhausted.
One thing I will say, Ryan, is that I put it on my Twitter at half time. I think he did well. Patterson did well the second half, but it was very risky leaving him on. There was a challenge where he could have picked up his second yellow against Grealish. And I thought to myself, like, against Grealish, he's one of the worst players to play against on a yellow. And I thought to myself, this is where Lampard's got to make the substitution now. And eventually he did. But once again, I think Lampard a bit slow on his substitutions. I think he got it right today with the formation and stuff. But just because we got a good result and we're all happy today, Lampard still has to improve a little bit. Like if I've picked up that he probably should have made his substitutions earlier, then I still think that. And I don't know what you think, Ryan. Like he probably should have brought Coleman on because, by the way, when Coleman come on, he was very good. I know you missed some of the end, Ryan, but the amount of blocks that Coleman did to get in that box in that extra time, I was like, oh my God, thank God you've just done that. They were getting corners and everything.
Let's give some credit then to Lampard because we've been critical of him and said he's been passive and not had any ideas. But clearly today, he left Seamus Coleman on the bench or brought him in for the, because of Phil Foden and knew that Foden was going to come on with fresh legs and that, Coleman was coming on to do the job against him and did that job. Unfortunately, though, there was an injury to Ben Godfrey. I think it was cramp or something. And we had to bring on Decore late on who looked more comfortable in a defensive position behind the ball rather than trying to chase back with Iwobi then going over to right wing back. But you're right, Dan. He was proactive and he had a plan there, even though some are saying, Garner shouldn't have gone off. He was having a great day.
Hey, Davis come on before Decore, didn't he?
Davis come on for Garner and Neil Maupay obviously came on for Calvert-Lewin. So in some way there was an eye on Tuesday with arguably two of our most important players, Garner and Calvert-Lewin. He loves to leave Onana on the pitch though, and I think that's important because of his physical presence.
Well, we all thought that Onana, I don't know what you thought, Ryan, but Onana went down injured and it looked like the substitution was going to be Onana, but Onana said to the sidelines, no, I want to stay on. He was proper up for it today, which fair enough. I want our players to be like that. I want them to want to play and want to make a difference. And it was good that he wanted to stay on.
Can we all just have a big smile then? Because
I'm buzzing. But Ryan, that feels like a win. It really, you've got to think about this, right? Man City, they've flopped on a few games this season and they need to start winning games to win the league. This was a massive game for Man City where they needed the 3 points. They gave everything today. They needed it. And we was 1-0 down against a team that needs it that bad. And we've come back and got 1-1. When we're at our lowest, to be fair, when we are really, really frigging low in confidence and everything, and we've come back and got 1-1 and probably looked like we could have nicked it again, like when we played them last time. I know I didn't speak to you lot on the pre-match. I'll let you lot do it because I've been on quite a bit recently, but I knew this formation would suit Man City, Ryan. Different formations, like, are good. You've got to change things each game to suit different teams because you've got to think what's going to, hurt them. And for what Man City are, Ryan, this formation was perfect for frustrating them and hitting them on the counter-attack with players like Demarai Gray. I think that Calvert-Lewin today, obviously, he didn't have his best game, Ryan, but it was so nice to have a centre-forward that was ruffling their centre-backs up. There was a couple of times where there was free kicks because Calvert-Lewin was, barging into them and knocking them down, and their centre-backs was holding their heads because they got clashed against Calvert-Lewin. And I thought to myself, even that's why you need a centre-forwards. Even if they don't get everything right, their centre-backs have to deal with Calvert-Lewin, and it was just nice to have that today. And I think when Calvert-Lewin come off, we missed him a little bit because Mope couldn't do the same, could he? I know I say his name wrong, but he couldn't do the same.
He was there to press and to be just, a nuisance. And in fairness, you couldn't expect more from Neil Mope.
It was snidey. No, he did a good tackle where they was going to counter-attack us, and he completely crunched the player and slowed it down for us to get the win. And that was good. That's the snidey play that you want.
We've got to get better than him, though. I mean, you talk about Jamie Vardy at 34 last night, or 35. I'm not sure how old he is, but he's still causing havoc with his pace and his runs in behind. Mope isn't that level. But, he's coming off the bench. Mope was a good striker at Brighton. Now he looks like a mouse. I mean, it's quite funny. But he was just on to press and to be fresh legs, really. Couldn't expect much more from that. And really, then you talked about Demarai Gray as well. His position being right next to Calvert-Lewin helped us because it meant, he was there ready to springboard the attack rather than actually on the wing trying to defend and get forward. So it made sense to have him as leading the top. I was concerned, I'm not going to lie, that we were going to be played around in the midfield too easily because of the 5 in defence, because of the 3 in midfield. But it worked. The wing backs came out. The centre backs were not afraid to go out into midfield, and
do you know what?
It was great, and they worked hard.
We haven't given Iwobi a shout out as well. He was the one that had a really, really good game. He was composed on the ball when you needed him to be. And there was a couple of times where he went 50-50 shoulder to shoulder, and he won the shoulder to shoulder and turned the ball over and got us back over. I like Iwobi, Ryan. And there were a lot of people cry out for him in the number 10. But I like him when he's in the game, getting back, helping us out, helping the right back out. And Iwobi is better, and that's when he puts a shift in. And today, he really did put a shift in. Iwobi was really good. Big up Iwobi.
Well, you can say that about a lot of players.
Everyone today, yeah.
Defensively, the next stage is what can you do when you're on the ball? I think we're probably one attacker short there. One really good counter-attacker short, or one midfielder short who can break forward, and that's what's got to come. But you've got to remember, Man City are absolutely brilliant, and against on another day they would have won. They didn't play that well, and we played really well, but you see them turn teams over quite comfortably. Jeff says here that Onana is banned for the next game. That's why Garner went off and he stayed on, because Garner needs to be fresh, probably playing alongside Decore or Davis. Would you say maybe an actual temptation, if Gordon's fit, to put Iwobi back in the 6 next to Onana and bring in put Iwobi as a 6 next to Onana and bring in Gordon and go back to that where Iwobi in the 6, or do you think it'll be Davis and Decore?
It's going to be a really interesting one to see what happens next game with the formation, whether he's going to stick with this or whether he's going to go to the back 4, because I honestly think that formation is written for Ben Godfrey. I was talking about Ben Godfrey last night. He hasn't played well in any sort of position other than left back. But I think in that back 3 as a sweeper to help Patterson, because Patterson gets caught out a lot when he goes forward, I think Godfrey's good in that back 3 for the speed. And I think today Godfrey had a good game in that position with the 2 centre-backs, because Tarkowski and Cody ain't that fast. And if you're going to play that formation with Godfrey, it suits him to a T. And I do think that might be the formation for next game, Ryan. I really do. I know you hate it, but it's a formation that's solid, and we need to start picking up points. It's not about us saying what we like.
I don't think we can do that, can we? Can we do that really against Brighton? I mean, I'm just looking at who we've got available in midfield. We won't have Onana available, suspended, but then you're losing that extra. You're losing one of your midfielders. I don't know whether we got the players to do that.
It's going to be exactly the same as it was today, but either Davis or Decore is going to come in for Onana, isn't it? I mean, that's the way it's going to be.
Should we go to the comments, Dan, unless you've got anything to add personally?
No, I'm just absolutely buzzing, mate. I really am buzzing with that.
As always, like the video. And if you're new here, please subscribe, turn notifications on. we're celebrating the draw. I'm here for another 5 minutes. We're going to wrap things up at 60 minutes, and Dan wants to sit on with you guys.
We'll go and have a New Year party now. Everyone's a bit happier.
Let's whiz through some of these comments. Are we all pro Lampard now? No, I think one swan doesn't make a summer, as they say. You got to want to see a lot more from him. Certainly, the Brighton game and the Southampton game are absolutely huge, but this is definitely a step in the right direction.
Ryan, on that one, just on that comment though, we hit this topic earlier on. So a few people have been saying it, like, does this mean we're okay with Lampard? I don't care who the manager is. I just want us to start getting some points and stay up. I just want to stay up. And whoever can keep, like, if Lampard can get us on a roll now, if he can get us a bounce, like the Brighton game's a big game now because the Man City, like, we expected nothing and we got it and we're like, fair enough. But if Lampard is shit against Brighton, then the questions are back on him. So the Brighton is where Lampard, that's the game on Lampard. And if he can use this game as momentum for the Brighton game and we beat Brighton, we can go on a run. Because I was saying to someone last night, Ryan, I looked at the league table about 3 days ago and I thought to myself, where would we? I looked at the league table and we were 17th. And I added up, if we had an extra 9 points, which I thought we could have got this season, where would we be? It took us to like 7th, Ryan. It took us to 7th position. The league table points make a big difference. You feel like we're right at the bottom and it's scary. But if you do start getting points, Ryan, I know we were 17th before this started, but if you start putting 3 points on the board, you can end up mid-table and we're less scared.
Well, I mean, Captain Obvious.
No, but I honestly thought when we was at the bottom, Ryan, I thought was miles away and was going to stay at the bottom. But honestly, not. You start getting 3 points and it knocks you up that table. Everyone is playing shit this season. You look. I watched the Man United game today. They won, but they wasn't that good. It wasn't until Rashford come on, and Wolves was all over them. By the way, they could have actually beat United, and no one's good. And we was in it with Wolves, and Wolves was all over United. So
we have a look at the league table now, Dan. Can you have a look?
I haven't got it on me unless you can get it up. But
a rock bottom now. We've got to be beating Southampton, and we've got to get at least a draw against Brighton. 4 points from the next 2 games would be okay. I think we need 6 points, really, considering.
I think we need to. I don't think it's about the attitude that we used to have. Let's play nice football that everyone likes. I think it's about you've got, like, the David Moyes. I'm not saying play like we did with David Moyes because I don't want him back, but we've got to at least draw the game, Ryan. Every game you've got to be solid in defence. So we're either going to get a draw or we sneak the win, and that's the way we've got to play. That's how I feel we've got to play. You've got to make sure you make it hard for the Brighton. Get a draw at least, but if you get the chance, try and put it to bed and sneak the 3 points. That's the way Everton have got to play now. That's how we're going to start getting away from this relegation battle. Did you manage to get the league table?
I'm just looking now.
What you doing tonight for New Year?
I'm just going to work, Dan. Going to a restaurant in 20 minutes.
What, you're hosting the countdown then this year?
Yeah.
Hey, 10-9.
Yeah. And then also,
I'm going to get the party snacks out in a bit.
Yeah, good man. What are you doing for New Year?
Yeah, I've got party snacks for the kids and stuff and keep them up and have a little bit of a party. We're all happy now. Everton won. Can go into the new year without Everton getting battered. It's a lot frigging more positive, isn't it? Yeah, it does feel like a win. 1-0 down. I'm buzzing with that. I really am buzzing with that because
so a quiet one with your 2 kids, and you're going to be opening the party rings.
Yeah, I'll get a couple of fireworks at the back and stuff like that. Just have a little spinny one, sparklers.
Well, I've got 120 people in a restaurant to entertain for 5 hours. So,
are you happy? Are you happy with today then, as yourself now? Because I know you can be quite critical and stuff like that. And I didn't. I will confess, I watch everything on this channel, but I didn't listen to. I bet it was very negative. The pre-match.
Yeah. It was pretty shocking, to be honest. No one really had any faith in anything.
Right, I did a space last night to one of my Everton friends, and he's quite switched on, and he's like laid back, and he looks at things as a big picture and doesn't get too stressed out. And he said, if you just like Newcastle on a run, he said if you can just get a little bit of form, it can make a big difference in this league. And he said this game we could be in it, and some people were saying last night on the space, play a shit team, because Man City are going to batter you anyway. And I said, that's not the attitude to have, because you...
Yeah.
What
Lampard didn't believe that either.
Yeah,
And
we would have missed out on the point today, Ryan, if we just gave up on that game. You can't give up on any game, because it could be the point that keeps us up. If we stay up by 1 point, we'll think of this game today.
I mean, you've got to take everything as it comes. Today, in fairness, I said in the pre-match that I thought it would be a draw. I did try to give some. It was negative and it was very downbeat last night, but we did try to look for some reason of a game plan, and literally what we did, it was literally what I said, which was aggressive. We were talking about whether it should be 5 or 4 at the back and 3 or 4 in midfield. Aggressive, wait for Man City to overcommit and make mistakes, and then catch them on the counter-attack and restrict the space in behind and shuffle them to the wings. We did it. It worked effectively. We're very happy. I wish everyone a happy new year. Make sure you like and subscribe, of course.
Definitely.
New Year's being seen in. It's already been seen in over in Kiribati and New Zealand. They're already at 2023. Wow, this year's gone so fast. As we always say, Odegaard scored 2 for Arsenal. They went beating Brighton. And I'm just going to get the league table up now. Just while we're doing that, Dan will give you a minute's silence for Vivian Westwood.
Yeah, classic.
Are you laughing?
Yeah, you make me laugh, you do, man.
Are you laughing?
Obviously.
Respect the silence.
Where's the table? You and your jokes, you make me laugh.
Hard
to be serious.
I am. I'm sorry. I'm just going to get it now. Just going to get this league table up. While we're waiting for me to get the league table, Dan will give you a minute's silence for Pele.
To be fair, he was like a massive inspiration when he made such a difference. That I read on Pele, they said that his mum's 100 years old, and they said they haven't told her, like they haven't told her the news and stuff because it'd affect her and stuff like that. His mum made 100 in it, and he's made that. And Pele played at Goodison, didn't he, Ryan, as well?
Sorry, but last night Jeff did this.
Pele played at Goodison.
Silence for Pele, and I think it was Jeff and David and Mabsy, or it was 2 of them started laughing.
No, I
during the minutes.
I am proper serious.
They were blaming each other, so I had to do the minute silence for Vivian Westwood, and honestly, they couldn't contain themselves. Why haven't they told his mum then? So your brother actually put in the WhatsApp group that he actually met Pele and got his signature in person, didn't he, Steve? In Brazil, yeah.
Yeah, fair play. Well done on that. That was a good one. Because behind Maradona and the other who were talking, Ronaldo and Messi or whatever. Pele is the man, isn't he? So
don't like Maradona. I think he's a bellend. No, you shouldn't speak ill of the dead, but
yeah, well, he is one of them that a lot of people have got mixed opinions on, isn't it? So
yeah, just looking at the team, the table here, you got Arsenal top of the league, 43 points. Now Man City, wow, 36 points. They're 7 points behind league leaders Arsenal. Who'd have thought that?
Told you it was a big game today.
When we appointed Carlo Ancelotti, there was a lot of clamour for Mikel Arteta. A lot of people were saying that Ancelotti should have gone to Arsenal and that Arteta should have come to Everton. But, you know, we didn't have the longevity in there. We obviously had promised Carlo we'd have money. We didn't have the money to fulfill the ambition. Then we had COVID, which really, really hurt us. And Carlo left for probably the only team he said he would have gone to. And Arteta's been allowed to build something at Arsenal over time and clearly has got them playing exceptional football and getting results. So good to them. Obviously 7 points behind for City. I still think City have, over the long season, I mean, bear in mind we've only played 16 games out of 38. There's still another 22 games. I still fancy City to win. I think City will beat Arsenal on a head-to-head. And I think there's still, in the long term, I think Man City can win the league, but it's going to be even trickier now. Newcastle, I'm not even going to discuss them. Hate them. Man United are on 32 points. Spurs are on 30. They're in 5th place. The Red Shite are on 28. So Liverpool can't win the league this season. They were very lucky against Leicester last night.
They were very, very poor. I've never seen a team play so poor and still manage to win. 2 own goals saved their ass, Liverpool. I actually thought the Red Shite was like absolutely smashing it, Ryan, and I watched them yesterday and they should have got battered by Leicester. Leicester just kept turning it over, and the goal that Leicester scored, the own goals lost the game, but I don't think they was playing that well. I know they signed Gakpo, but they're playing a lot of young kids, and they haven't got much strength and depth. The Red Shot ain't, so I don't think they'll win the league. I definitely don't think they will.
Kevin's just saying his dad saw Pele at Goodison. It's amazing. Thanks for all the comments today, as always. Joey's saying the creator of the multiverse is a Liverpool fan. It did look a bit corrupt. That second goal yesterday. I mean, he just needs to do it with his left foot and kick it behind for a corner. It was embarrassing. Anyway, Fulham are on 25. Marco Silva, they're in 7th place. Brighton, who are losing 2-0 to Arsenal, are in 24 points, 8th place.
8th.
You got Chelsea on 24. That's a big underachievement, but they've only played 15 games, and some teams have played 17, us being one of them. Then you've got Brentford, 23, Palace, 11th, 22, Aston Villa, 18 points. They're in 12th. Leicester, who've got themselves out of trouble for now, 17 points. They're in 13th place. Leeds, who lost to Man City 3-1 at home the other day, 16 points. Bournemouth, 16. And then Everton, this is where it really matters. Everton are in 16th place. They've moved one up. They're in 15 with a -7 goal difference, 17 games played, less than a point a game, less than 1 goal a game. It's got to improve, of course, but, you know, at least we've moved up a place and secured a point where West Ham lost there on 14 points, 17 games played. And then Wolves lost today, 13 points. They're in the relegation zone, along with Nottingham Forest on 13 points and Southampton on 12. The worrying thing looking at that table, though, is if Southampton were to beat us next week and Forest and Wolves win, Everton are like rock bottom. So it's very close to being like a complete embarrassment, but also at the same time a win. If we could win, say, against Brighton, I think we could jump up to sort of 12th, 13th in the league. And then if we were to win our next 2 games, which is a big ask, but, you know, you're talking around the same position, but in a comfortable, with a bit of breathing room, really. And we've got to try and do that. I think 6 points now in these next 2 games will be massive. Dan, have you got any closing thoughts now?
I just think what you said then, you said it's scary looking at the games because the teams can catch points on us, but you've got to turn it around, Ryan. It's scary, yes, but we can also gain points on teams and move away from them. So they are games where we could drop further, but they are games where we could move further away. But one thing I was going to say is I am absolutely buzzing with that. That is the start now. We crack on from that. That's the momentum. We need to get some frigging points and get away from this relegation battle that we're in at the minute. Happy New Year to everyone in. People in, still quite a few people in. Happy New Year. Have a good New Year. Yeah, and enjoy tonight. Don't get too drunk. And we'll be back on. I can't wait for the next game now. I can't believe I've actually had an Everton game that hasn't made me stressed. Ryan, honestly, do you know after that Wolves game, I went bed early because I had a headache so bad. Honestly, it stressed me out so much. The way we was like winning that Wolves game and it turned around and we lost it in extra time. It really did mess with my head. That did. But this game is better.
Just one final thing that made me laugh before we say goodbye. Happy New Year, everyone, by the way. It's funny that we finally get a result away at Man City the one time that Liverpool aren't competing with them for the title. And it's like the fans would have been happy for anything today because it doesn't really make much difference. So that's fantastic. We'll turn up and get the results when we want. Happy New Year to everyone watching. Thank you so much for supporting us this year.
Thank you.
And of course, please subscribe. It's down the bottom there. Turn notifications on because we do a lot of impromptu videos. It's not particularly well planned. I do apologize.
We had some good comments on the Twitter, Ryan. Someone said on one of my he tweeted saying we update them with all the Everton news. You get everything from this channel. They talk about everything. They cover everything. And that's what if I was to say what we do, that's what we do. We cover everything Everton. We include you in the comments, and we're just a little group of Everton fans that are sharing this roller coaster that we're on. So that's why I'd say hit the subscribe button and share it with us, because everyone in our comments, by the way, we see you all the time. We can't always read it because the comments, you can't see us when we put them all on, but we read it, but we don't say it out loud sometimes. Thanks for all commenting and stay with us
now, and that shows where we've gone. But we read every single one and we post as many as we can. Dan, also most importantly to you, Happy New Year. Thanks for your help this year. Have a good one tonight. Have a couple of beers. Don't get pissed because you're a responsible adult.
No
with
way.
the kids. have some fun with the party rings and the finger biscuits and the prawn sandwiches. I'm going to work now. I'm going to get my suit on and have some fun.
Have a good night, mate, because you were stressed last time. Have a good night. Send me some videos. Send me some videos of your New Year's singing and stuff like that. Up the fucking Toffees. I'll let you hit the end button. See you later.